Hello and welcome to Postdoc Chronicles week number 8. So that makes it like 2 months here in Johannesburg, South Africa. And today, so I'm gonna relate to you what happened last week after the Bloemfontein conference for the 63rd South African Institute of Physics conference. Again, the one that is the equivalent of SPP in the Philippines. So I presented my poster, and all went well. And I had to get I couldn't finish the entire conference because I had a visa appointment last Thursday, okay, another city called Pretoria, which I was told is the capital of South Africa. So the thing is, I went there, and there was a problem with my visa application. It was actually denied. Okay, and I really expected the visa application here in South Africa to be smooth and all, but maybe I'm cursed when it comes to these things. But yeah, it was quite a hassle. I had to go back and forth, and I'm gonna tell you all about that. But before that, let me tell you my experience of visa application in the Philippines. Okay, so the story is that I was supposed to do my postdoc here in South Africa. I arrived here May 2018, but I should have been doing my postdoc here as early as January or February 2018. Okay, but there were a lot of things that happened with the visa application, and also the very slow bureaucracy when it comes to processing the funding of the University of the Philippines. And thirdly, another reason is my ties to the DOST. The basically the agreement that a scholar cannot go out of the country, the Philippines, if you do not finish your obligation to them. Okay, so let's go to the first one is, I'm gonna discuss about the funding. It had a lot of it was really delayed because what happened was my funding was cut back because it was they found someone else that they were able to compare my the budget that I wanted for a year in South Africa. Okay, so they said that another is also doing a postdoc in exactly the same university with Waterstrand. And so that person, it was not revealed to me who that person was, but they requested for a very small amount, and mine was like, how come you're requesting this amount? This guy is just requesting this much. You should also be requesting this much. Okay, and we tried to really fight that funding. We're like, hey, that amount is not enough to survive for one day and so on. But we just gave it up because time was running out. And the funny thing is, when I arrived here in the University of Witwatersrand, I asked the administrative officer, what they call this, responsible to all postdocs, Mr. Alban Van Roy. Okay, and when I arrived in his office, because the first thing that you're gonna do here if you're a postdoc is you process all the papers and the stuff that is required to be in the record in the university. So I went there, and he was so happy because he said, hey, you're actually the first postdoc from the Philippines. So he has this like world map, and he has this like different pins of different postdocs coming from different countries. So you have people from all over Asia, from Europe, and so on, that is doing their postdoc here at the University of Witwatersrand. And so I asked him, oh really? Because I was told that there's another postdoc that should have been here in the University of Witwatersrand, that should have begun their postdoc in January. And Alban was like, oh really? No, all postdocs come through me, right? So either they're not postdocs at all, or they're in another university. And which is weird because I was told that they came here at this exact university, and they were asking for funding exactly my case. But then here I found out that they weren't they weren't here. At least Alban did not see them. Alban told me that I was the first postdoc from the Philippines in this university. So there's that. Okay. All the time processing that went down the drain, and then it turns out that the postdoc was supposed to be here, who was supposed to be doing a postdoc in the same university as me, I couldn't find them here. I couldn't find them here. Okay, so that's the issue. The second one I wanted to talk about is the DUST one. Because I was a so basically in the Philippines we have this Department of Science and Technology, DOST, and they give scholarships to uh, college students. These poor college students who wanted to pursue college degrees in science. Okay, and also like MS and PhD. But the thing is, there's like this. One to one if they give you scholarship for like 1 year, then you have to serve the Philippines for an equivalent amount of time. Okay, and you are not, so the rationale is that you're not supposed to go abroad because you're supposed to be a Philippine scientist. You're supposed to serve here. Okay, and yeah, that's all fine. And what happened is that I was under the DOST scholarship for like I owe them like 7 years, right? 4 years undergrad and then 3 years during my MS degree. Okay, so if effectively I was able to pay, like I've been teaching at the University of the Philippines for like I think 4 years or something, so like that's already counted off from my obligation to DOST. So I still lap 3 years, and it was really very hard, to apply for the permit because they really wanted, if they before they give the permit to me to go out to the country, they wanted me to pay my remaining balance to them, because that's how it works. If you really want to get out and you really want to work badly outside, then you have to pay the amount of stipend that is so they will do some calculations, and if you still have like 3 years left to serve, then you need to pay an equivalent amount of scholarship that they give you for that 3-year period. And most of the time I saw some of these people that did this. Most of the time, the companies that send these guys abroad, that still owe DUST, it's the companies that pay this one, so. And Region 7 did the calculations in my case, and I still have like around 200,000 pesos of I owe them, and they really wouldn't release the permit without me paying that amount. Okay, and which is I really try to reason them out, like I'm not going abroad, to work, right? I want to go abroad to do postdoc, and University of the Philippines is the one that is sending me, and to improve my training, because we don't have like any particle physics research in the University of the Philippines. So, I understand that you want to hold those people who want to go abroad to work, but that's not what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do postdoc abroad, and I'm tied to the University of the Philippines. I need to come back to do return service to them. Okay, and what I'm gonna do is only serves to improve the science in the Philippines. And they really like, no, you really need to pay this 200,000 amount. So I was very ready to pay that, because I really already wanted to go to here to South Africa. So what happens is, my plan was, I was gonna get my grant from the University of the Philippines, and then at the same time, I'm gonna get 200,000 from that, and then I'm gonna pay it to the OST. So good thing, Dr. Tapang, one of my colleagues in the University of the Philippines, he heard my case, and he was like, "That's ridiculous. Don't agree to that condition." Okay, and so he called the UST. He was like, we in the University of the Philippines, we are the ones producing a lot of PhDs and so on in the country. Like, and if this is what Dr. Tapang said, if this is what you do to our science graduates, like we won't be endorsing them anymore to the UST. Okay, so like he scolded those people, and eventually they said, oh, it's okay, we're gonna give him his permit without me paying. So that's what happened. So eventually I was already very ready to pay for that, but of course, good thing Dr. Tapang intervened, and so that was good. Okay, so I was able to obtain a DOST permit without having to pay that remaining balance. Now finally, the visa, so the weird thing is the visa application. So I'm gonna be doing a postdoc in Witwatersrand. It is a practice here that all postdocs are given a visitor's visa, because we're, we're not really working, and we're not students, so we don't fall under work visa or study visa. So they give us a very long visitors visa here, and they didn't have any problems to other postdocs coming from other countries. However, when I went and applied for my visa in the Philippines, they're like, oh, you're going to the university, study visa. I'm like, no. The University of Witwatersrand insists that I get a visitor's visa because I'm not studying there. If you request me to get a study visa, then there are things in your list that I could not provide. So, for example, they need things from the registrar and so on. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not like passing through the registrar. We're not being handled by the registrar. We're being handled by someone else. Okay, but yeah, the guys in the Philippines, the one that's handling the visa application, they're really so adamant. They're like, no, that's a university. You need study visa. So now I emailed the University of Witwatersrand. I'm like, hey, can you clarify, because in the Philippines they insist that I should get a study visa, and then they're like, no, that's ridiculous. You're not studying here. You're not a student. You're a postdoc. Okay, and so I told this one again to the visa guys in the Philippines, and they're like, no, it should be study visa. So it's been happening like back and forth, and then the irritating thing is that I went there initially to apply for a visitor's visa. I was denied. Okay, initially, and so what I did is, I really pestered, those guys from the embassy, because the guys that were handling the visa application were different from the guys who will be approving your visa. So I got the phone number and the email address of the South African embassy in the Philippines, which of course they have like a website, but the telephone number there, it doesn't work, or it's always busy, and so on. But eventually I got them to reply in the email. Okay, I told them my plea, and then they still said no. This has to be they said, from what you told us, it has to be study visa. So again, I went to the University of Witwatersrand. Hey, they really want to do study visa, and then of course Witwatersrand is like, no, we're not. Like, what's the problem with your country? Every other postdocs from other countries have been given visitors visa, so we can't give you like a study visa. So again, I told this, I emailed again the embassy, and funnily enough, they were like, I think like they got irritated or something. They were like, hey, if you really want, if you really want that badly to apply for visitors visa, then why not go to the, these guys handling the visa application and apply for a visitors visa? Why are you like pestering us? I'm like, that's what I did. That's what exactly I did in the first place. I went there first. The first time I went there, I wanted to apply for a visitors visa. You insisted for a study visa, and then now you tell me that if I really wanted to apply for visitors visa, I just go there and get the visitors visa. So I'm like, so they didn't reply, so I had no choice. I went there. I had my visitors visa application. So the funny thing is, I had it complete, in the complete list. In their list, they have like a police clearance and so on. So I did not get any NBA clearance. Okay, so actually at first I was thinking, when they say police clearance, do they mean NBA clearance? But there, I asked like in the Quezon City Hall, they said no, these are different things. So I got the police clearance instead. In their list, it does not say NBI clearance. Okay, so I went there, I submitted my application, and they were like, "Hey, where's your NBI clearance?" And I said, so the police clearance in your list, you meant that to be an NBI clearance. Then I told him, maybe next time you should like emphasize that, because getting an NBI clearance is not an easy task, and if you're a DOST scholarship, that's more so. If you're a DOST scholarship, it will undergo another extra weeks, because you will get a hit. If you're a DOST scholar. So he was like, So do you mean the police clearance? Do you mean to say that's the NBI clearance? And he was like, no, the police clearance is different. We will need that as well, but we also need NBI clearance. And I was like, how come there's no NBI clearance in your website? And he was like, the guy was like, no, it's there. I assure you. I promise you, it's there. We list it there. I'm like, really? I have my phone here. I can like I can check it in your website. In fact, so he was like looking at the computer. He's like, in fact, you can check at your computer, look at your website, and see that the list it doesn't contain any FBI clearance. And he's like, no, we don't. We're not allowed internet here. So I was like, okay, I have internet in my cell phone. Let's look at your website in my cell phone, and I'll show you that it doesn't have any NDI clearance. And he was like, no, cell phones are not allowed here. I'm like, man, this is ridiculous. So of course I had no choice. I had to go back, wait for the NBI clearance. And like I said, if you're a DOST scholar, NBI clearance takes so long. And then, after I had that, then that was the time that I was able to go there. So with all that experience, I really had this, I was paranoid, when it comes to applying for visa. So now what I did is, when I applied for a visa here, and the funny thing that I did not know is, you need to set an appointment here, which is different from the Philippines. In the Philippines, you just prepare your, at least for the South African one, you just need to prepare your requirements and then you just go there. Here, you need to, book an appointment. So my appointment was booked last week, which was June 28th. My flight is July 14. And so it says that, you will be applying for Schengen visa. If you're visiting multiple Schengen countries, what you do is either you apply for to the country which is your first entry, in my case Switzerland, or the country where you are staying the most. And in my case, again, it's Switzerland. Okay, so I went there to the Swiss visa and so on. I had all my requirements, and when they process it, they're like, they were like, where is your letter from the host? Okay, and then the funny thing is, in their website, it says there, one of the requirements, it has the word if. Okay, it says, if you are invited by a host. And the thing is, in my case, it's like an informal meeting with the collaborators of my supervisor. So I was not really invited, but I'm gonna meet them, the collaborators of my supervisor. So the South Africa is the one sending me there, but the one from CERN, they're just the receiving end, but they're not like, hey, Marvin, come here. They're not inviting me. Okay, and so and the most important thing is, in their requirements it says, if you are invited by a host, then you need a letter from the host. I explained, I was not invited. It's like the Wits is the one that is sending me to CERN. I wasn't invited, so I'm just there to meet their collaborators. So, and your website says if, so do I really need to give it? And they're like, yeah, you really need it. And then they look at my things. They said, you have here an official invitation from Italy, so maybe you should apply there, because this, you can think of this as your main destination. And they're like, I'm sorry, we can't really give you the Swiss visa. So I went to the website of the Italian visa. Good thing, okay, the good thing is that when I look at their appointment, they had one available on the 29th, the next day. So I went there, in a place called Santon. All my requirements are here. And so the first thing that they told me when I submitted my requirements, they calculated the number of days. They're like, hey, you'll stay the most in Switzerland. How come you did not apply to Switzerland? I'm like, I came from there. They sent me here. They said I should get the Italy one, because I have an official invitation, because in Italy I'm gonna be joining a school. Okay, and so they were like, so they were discussing my case, because they don't know what to make of it. They don't know if they should give me a research visa or a study visa. I applied for a study visa, or because I'm joining a school, so they don't know if they would give me study, business, or research. And then she asked someone from the higher ups, and then eventually they called the consulate. They came back. They were like, sorry sir, we have a bad news. Your visa, my visa in Africa is a visitor's visa. And they said, we could not, what they call this, we do not issue Schengen visa to visitors visa holder, which is ridiculous, because in the first place, uh, visitors visa is something that is required by VITS. And also, I know a lot of other postdocs from the group that I came from. I came from a high energy physics group, so a lot of postdocs have been going to CERN, right? So I told them, hey, a lot of people have been going to CERN. They are under visitors visa. They've been giving Schengen visa. What's up with that? And they asked me, have they go there this year? So of course I did not have any answer to that because I wasn't aware of any postdoc who went there this year. But I said, so what's that? Is that a new rule imposed this year? They're like, we're not sure, but we really don't give Schengen visa to visitors visa holder. So what happens is that was Friday, last Friday. So I had to wait during the weekend. I had to email, my supervisors and staff to for all this regarding this predicament. And the guys there at the Italian visa, the ones that were processing, they were like, you can come back here on Monday. We will clarify to the consulate if they should really accept, if they really accept visitors visa. But from what they've been told, they really don't accept. They really do not release Schengen visa to visitors visa holder. So I waited. I was like very frustrated before I went home. To console myself. And of course, June 29 is like the release of one of the games that I'm looking forward to at the Nintendo Switch. So to console myself, I went to Santon Mall. And it's very nice because they have like their own not only do they have a video game store that sells PS4, Xbox, and so on, they have a store dedicated to the Nintendo Switch alone, or everything Nintendo. Okay, and the nice thing is I went there and I bought a Wolfenstein, which was released June 29. And they told me I was the first guy who purchased this during the release day. So they also gave me a Metroid T-shirt. And at the same time, I couldn't control myself. I went and bought a Nintendo Switch dock. So now I can play my Nintendo Switch on the TV. So now I have two docks. One is in the Philippines, one is here. But I'm going to open the other one and transfer it to the smaller case. Okay. So anyway, going back to my predicament. So at least during the weekend I was like consoled by my Nintendo Switch. But Monday came, and today, so I went to my supervisors, and they're like, they were thinking of ways to help me. So my Deepak, my main supervisor, he made me another letter explaining that all postdocs get visitors visa. Okay. And then the guy inviting in Italy, he made his letter more. He made his invitation letter more elaborate because he said, the guys from in the embassy, they love that, with all the self telephone numbers and very fancy information. So he did that. And luckily, when I went back, they emailed me. I was like, hey, any update? Can I like go back there to do my application? And I was told in the email, the consulate is still that they don't know what to do with you, but they advised me you just come here and apply first for a tourist visa instead. So today I went back there, gave my papers, and finally I was able to pay. Finally they accepted it, but which is weird because they told me to apply for a tourist visa, but the people that accepted me, they made it a study visa instead. So I don't know, at least they accepted it, but I'm still gonna wait whether or not the Italian embassy or the Italian consulate will be approving it. And if they don't, then I really need to report it to the higher ups, because how come I know other postdocs holding visitors visa? How come they were given Schengen visa, but I wasn't? Okay, yeah. But anyway, yeah, that's what happened. It has been a very busy week. That's what happened last Thursday, Friday, just and today. Okay, and I hope I get this visa because I'm really excited for that. CERN to meet the collaborators of my supervisors, and then a school in Italy, and then of course I'm gonna go also as well to Poland to watch the Iron Maiden concert. So everything else, my itinerary, it's already complete and so on. Like the university already gave me the like, they already got my ticket, and they said, okay, just get your accommodation. We will reimburse you after, and so on. So everything is all and well. I just need that visa. Okay. So next week I'm gonna like update you in the next Postdoc Chronicles. What will happen to that visa? Will I get approved, or will I get denied by the Italian visa? Will I lose the opportunity to witness the only time that I'm gonna witness Iron Maiden live? Okay, so we'll find out in my next Postdoc Chronicles. So until next time, see you again.